Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 76 of the Top 5 PvP Battles. If you guys want to send in your own clips for the Top 5, you can send them to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Of course, the Top 5 is featuring some of Cyrodiil's most exceptional players, and these fights are by no means the norm that you see in PvP. And to start us off, we have got Pain on the Magicka Sorcerer, and he's picking a fight with a bunch of EP players outside of Bleaker's outpost here. And the EP players are attacking him, and he just retreats back behind the wooden works here, and he's going to see if he can pull a few EP away. There's quite a few on that first body that he took down there, and Pain's just going to poke this guy with a little bit of range damage, but be careful to stay in the rocks here, as these guys are definitely going to charge him soon. The first guy comes around the corner, and Pain starts putting the work in. Great stun with the streak there, setting the combo with the curse to start it off, and finishing him off. Really nice stuff, and he starts to work right away on the next player here. He's got his ultimate ready as well, and he sets the ultimate down, getting a good stun on the 3 players there, and right away Pain goes for damage on top of the nearest player, putting good pressure into him, but unfortunately this guy responding well with his heals, and Pain is not able to stand there and stick that kill out. And Pain, of course, using the Sorcerer's Streak to help change directions here and just keep these guys turning around as he tries to make a break for the woodwork here. And he manages to get behind it again. And this time, I think the entire group is going to come through right away. He gets pulled in by, I think, the Fighters Guild pull there. And Pain's just going to go back to the other side of the wooden stuff and then head into the rocks here and just keep kiting around, trying to split this group up as best that he can. And here he sees a single player overextended a little bit. Didn't see that Pain had been pulled in and changed directions there. And he hits him with a huge combo there. The curse into the frags. Nice stuff. And Pain sets down his ultimate, picking a couple nice stunts here, but the ultimate in the open field, a great call because it can soak up some damage for him, and Pain manages to get a good kill there right away. The enemy players targeting him hard, but a few shots going at his Atronach here. Pain's Atronach almost dead, but he is still using it to try to get a bit of body block here and just keeping the pressure on top of these red, a majority of them focusing on trying to pick up the reses here instead of putting the pressure on Pain, and he's just doing a great job covering them with the stuns there, a huge AoE streak stun, and he picks off the player at the top of the group there, and Pain's just going to keep the pressure down. He sets the Atronach down right away. I like that, just the additional offensive pressure, and of course an option for him to kite behind if he needs it. But at this point, it looks like Pain has cleared out so many of the players in the field here. A couple of the red players did get rezzed, and they do manage to get up, but Pain right away gets this guy with the stun, gonna hit him with the frags, and bring him down. And it looks like it's just 2 red players left. One of them is trying to fight the Atronach there. Pain's just gonna hit this guy that's been hitting him with some arrows from the side. Gets a nice combo there into the execute to finish him off. And then right away sets the curse down on this guy here. Another Atronach to help just cover this this battlefield in more stuff. And this enemy Necromancer here's got a bit of bulk, but he's the last player left, and Pain is not going to let him get away. Really nice stuff. Love the movement on the Magicka Sorcerer. And Pain is just going to keep the work on here. The Magicka Necromancer going for the snare as well. No, man, you are not faster than the Mag Sorc. And there we see a friendly player come in to help finish him off. And that is that. Now for our next fight, we have got React Faster on his Stamina Templar. And he's taken a bunch of red players at the Alesia Bridge here. Right away dumping a big Dawnbreaker combo on those guys. But they respond with the Meteor. React did get the block there, but I think he had just not enough stamina in order to get the block on the Meteor. So he ended up taking that stun. And he kites his way successfully, though, back up to the top of the tower here. And he's just going to start by putting the Power the Lights down and working these guys with the jabs. React also making sure to keep his vigor up throughout this fight because he's going to be taking a lot of abuse from those guys, almost going down there with the fall damage included. A lot of pressure from these guys if he's going to hold still. So React is going to do his best to kite these guys out. Again, just trying to get a good rotation on them here into the jabs and a huge Dawnbreaker combo as he sits in the corner of that room there. Really good coverage on the group, and React manages to pick up 2 quick kills on those guys, and great movement around the staircases here again, and React just using that little bit of wall to help LOS as he resets his buffs, again going for that little bit of LOS up the staircase here. and some beautiful heavy attack gameplay, just getting that resource back. Hits this guy with the interrupt again, trying to finish him with the kill here, but the enemy sorcerer just pounding the shields there, and React finds himself super low on resource, so he's going to try to play it smart. Really good kite game to negate that incoming damage, and React's just going to hug the edges, and lots of direction changing. The red players here constantly changing which way they're facing, and that's going to buy React the time he needs to get those heavy attacks off, get the stamina back, and just try to keep preventing this sorcerer from picking up the bodies here. This guy is dedicated to getting the res here, and finally React manages to pick up a kill on one of the players there. The Dawnbreaker following to get a second kill as well. And it looks like there's just 2 red players left, and React is just going to keep his buffs up. Again, go for the power of the light, the jab combo, and I just love his movement here. He's so good at swiveling around behind the enemy players, making himself a very difficult target to hit, even in close quarter fighting like this. And React taking huge damage, I think, from that enemy werewolf there, and the enemy archer spamming the AoE snare as well. And React goes into his shield ultimate, goes for the jab pressure here, and caught the enemy player there just low on HP. He didn't expect React to be able to pull out some offensive pressure after taking that kind of a beating. And the last player here desperately trying to escape. React is just going to keep the pressure on top of him. He's got the Dawnbreaker ready. The enemy player gets a good counter stun there, and React's just going to hit him with the Dawny, the power of the light, goes for the jab pressure, and the enemy player goes down to the jabs. Fantastic fight. And for our next fight, we have got Hewbert on the Stamina Nightblade, and he is actually in the no CP campaign in this fight as well, and he just picks up a beautiful kill out of stealth there and finishes off one of the yellow players, and more yellow players are starting to pour out of Sejanus, and Hewbert just doing a great job trying to play the kite game here. Lots of direction changes. Again, he tries to go for the offensive pressure, doesn't get the attack he wants. He's just going to back it up a little bit, just put some arrows into these guys as well, and just kite back behind the tree here and find himself a little bit more favorable terrain, as he's going to have a tough time taking all 4 of those guys in that more open spot. And Hewbert sets the shade down at the top of the hill, shades back up, 2 of the players follow him down there, and right away Hebert's going to go for pressure on top of this guy here. It looks like the 3rd player actually didn't see him teleport up and also jumped off the edge there. Hewbert manages to finish one of them off, goes for pressure on the other guy, but the enemy player hits him with the counter stun there. Hewbert drops down here, gets a nice stun with his surprise attack, trying to put the pressure in to finish this guy off, and there we see the ultimate connect off the end of the heavy attack to finish that guy off. And Hebert's just going to start working these 2 players down at the bottom here. He still has his shade up top, and there he uses it to teleport back to safety, reset his shade again, and just having the ability to teleport to that location is going to be huge in this fight. There you see Hewbert taking a lot of pressure from an enemy Nightblade, and he manages to just shade right back out to safety. He's going to reset with his heals here, throw the poison injection down, and then go for the combo on the first player that comes up here. Hits him with the ultimate as well. This enemy player just dodging the end of Hebert's combo there, and he's going to shade back up top here, reset his heals and everything, throw the shade down, and he drops down again. Using that height so well on the Nightblade. The shade on the Nightblade just allows you to play a completely different style of game versus any other class in this location, and Hewbert is just using that to his advantage here, just breaking this group apart by using the height of the hill and making it so they have to run around if they drop down. And there we see Hewbert unfortunately finds himself with his shade down as he falls off the edge there, so he sets the new shade down at the bottom. And the enemy players go for a lot of pressure here, but Hewbert stays offensive, gets a huge ultimate into the surprise attack cancel, rolling away, really clean stuff, and picks off another enemy player there. And again, Hewbert just using that partial charged heavy into his shade to get behind the yellow players. And even though he's not breaking the height here, he's doing the direction change that shade gives him, and this just allows him to buy a little bit of respite. And there we see a big combo on that enemy player there. Hewbert, again, unable to stick it out, just taking a little bit too much pressure. And look at that beautiful little hop there, looking for the enemy player with his bow heavy, but the kite was good enough that no one followed him around the corner soon enough. And Hewbert finds himself with more players on top of him as he's just trying, I think, to reset his position in this fight. I think he wants to get his shade up top here before he continues in this fight, and yeah, that's exactly what's happening. He moves up to the top, sets the shade down, and he drops down again. The enemy player's putting a lot of pressure on him still. Hewbert manages to get a huge turn attack there in his ultimate, the surprise attack, and the enemy player goes down, having not healed himself when he drops off the edge, and Hewbert coming back up to the top here, picking up a beautiful kill on the single player waiting for him up there, and Hewbert again just setting the new shade down, being very defensive around the tree. The enemy Radiant Destruction coming in as Hewbert was fairly low HP, but a great kite into the shade there to get away from that, and he's finding himself a little lower on resource here. He sets a brand new shade down and kites down behind this rock here. The enemy players now are a little bit more hesitant to jump off the edge. That being said, Hewbert is getting attacked from the bottom here, managing to almost kill that player, but he doesn't decide to try to stick that kill out, instead opting to come back up to the top of the hill here. And Hewbert sets his shade again. He goes into stealth, just trying to set up a good combo on these guys here. Gets a good interrupt with the poison arrow there on the enemy Templar, and follows it up with a super powerful surprise attack. That guy goes down right away, and Hubert's going to maintain his aggression here. He's got 3 players at the top, but he's got the advantage because he is dropping on top of them, and another player gets killed there, and Hewbert is just going to stick the rest of this fight out. He starts going for more pressure on top of this enemy Nightblade. He gets a great counter fear on the enemy Nightblades as he's brought a little bit into dangerous health there, and Hewbert managing to get a good reset, just using his speed to kite them out. The enemy Nightblade going down to that poison injection tick, and Hewbert brings the last guy down. Awesome movement in that fight. Now moving on to our next battle here, we have got Akinos bringing us some melee Magicka Warden. Now this is a super sweet build, and Akinos, if you guys have seen his channel or seen him featured on the top 5 before, he loves to play these cool specs. And right off the bat, he goes into his ultimate here. He's got the deep fissure pressure down, and of course he's putting on the heat with the Vampire Eviscerate spammable ability, and Akinos manages to bring 1 yellow player down there, and he goes right back into his deep fissure, hits the knockback with the fire staff there, unfortunately knocking the player off the edge, and Akinos is unable to feed him the business to finish that guy off, so he heads back behind the rock here, and he's got a blue player engaging with him as well. Akinos right away gets good damage into him with the deep fissure, and manages to just scare the Nightblade off a bit for now. He's going to head back around and deal with the yellow on the other side here, keeping up that AoE heal, and of course keeping that big deep fissure pressure down into the Eviscerate, getting a huge combo on that yellow player, and Akinos is going to try to combo out the next player here, hits him with the stun, goes for the deep fissure combo into the Eviscerate again, and he's unable to stick that kill out. A great roll there as an enemy Nightblade jumps out of stealth. He manages to dodge that Nightblade's combo, and there we go, a deep fissure coming down. Akinos goes for the big damage there. The meteor he throws down actually hits the Nightblade behind him, so he just turns around, picks up the kill there, and taking quite a bit of pressure from these yellow here, but just using the terrain, using the rock there to heal himself up, tanking out the bow ultimate from this enemy Nightblade in order to keep the pressure on him. Really good call as he had the healing power to do it, and being in that ultimate, the Nightblade cannot defend himself unless he breaks the ultimate, and Akinos manages to pick up the kill there, and then right away jumping on top of the enemy healer here, putting some big pressure into him with the ultimate. The blue Nightblade also jumping on top of that yellow player there, and Akinos is just going to head back behind the rocks, reset again, and look for his ability to open with some combos here. The blue Nightblade goes into stealth, and Akinos is right away going to work on the next yellow player here, just popping a few heavy attacks off on these guys to get a little bit of Magicka back. And there we see the knockback. The deep fissure doesn't even need the Eviscerate. Another yellow player down, and here comes the blue Nightblade jumping on top of Akinos here. He responds really well though with his heals, blocking the ultimate as well. And Akinos just brushes off that gank and right away goes back to dealing with this yellow group here. They're respawning and running back, so Akinos is fighting a inevitably losing battle long term here. He picks up 2 more kills again on these yellow players. So much pressure when he jumps on top of them with this build, and now he's trying to go for the pressure on top of this blue player here, but the enemy player again had his heal up. Akinos opts out of sticking that combo out and just goes for those heavy attacks to try to get a little bit more resource back. Now he's going to jump back on top of the yellow player here, gets on top of this enemy Warden, big deep fissure combo there into the Eviscerates. The enemy player goes down, and Akinos sets down his next combo there, the deep fissure, the Eviscerate. The enemy Sork just barely tanking out the attack there, and Akinos pokes him with the heavy attack, or with the fire staff there to finish him off. And there we see a huge amount of damage coming in from both the blue and a yellow Nightblade, and Akinos goes down, but a fantastic build and a great fight. And for our final clip today, we have got EXAM on the Stamina Templar, and he's hanging out outside this keep here, just picking a fight with these red players, right away hitting the huge Dawnbreaker into jabs combo on the first player there to bring him down. This enemy Nightblade trying to sneak away, EXAM throwing the jabs down, trying to pull him out of stealth, but the enemy Nightblade does manage to get back into stealth. He's got more red players jumping on top of him behind here. EXAM tries to go for the stun. The Nightblade dodging both stuns, but there's just a sneaky heavy attack into the jabs, melting the enemy Nightblade. And EXAM's just going to keep his heals up here as well. He's got some nice durability on this build and some good healing power. And he's just going to stick out the fight in the open here. This enemy player trying to go for the res. EXAM just hits him with the bash. He's going to switch out to fighting this other stamina player that's whipping the wrecking blows. More red players jumping on top here. And EXAM positions himself to the side of the group there. Gets a great Dawnbreaker smack on this guy. Going for the jab pressure, trying to finish him off. And just can't connect the killing blow there. Finally managing to get the Executioner. And gets the bash as well, preventing this guy from picking up the dead body. The enemy Templar there also trying to get the res. And EXAM is just going to keep up the pressure here. He throws down the pottle on another player, getting the bash in between the combo there, finishing off the enemy player as well. And then he gets another bash off on that guy there to stop the res. This enemy Templar just dedicated to the bash here. EXAM taking quite a bit of pressure from the enemy ultimate, gets a great roll, just negating a huge amount of damage from it. And then right away, back on top of these enemy players, he hits this guy with the pottle. Big Dawnbreaker combo there into the jabs, and he manages to get the kill just a little late on stopping the res here from the enemy Templar, but EXAM is not going to let him pick up another player there right away, going for pressure on top of him. Didn't go for the bash right away, and I think it's just because he wanted to wait until the Templar was a little lower hit points and then get that nice stun combo, but the enemy Templar made the right call, just responding with his own heals instead of trying to stick out the res. EXAM drops another nasty Dawnbreaker, almost finishing off this enemy Dragon Knight that's coming to the fight there, clipping him with the Executioner to finish him there, and then he's going to turn back on top of this enemy Templar. The Templar has opted out of trying to res now and is just staying on the offensive, and EXAM is just doing his best to defend against the enemy players while just trying to pick them off as fast as possible. He's doing actually a really good job offensively, and that just allows him to not have to defend himself as much, because look at all these bodies on the ground. He's picking off the new players that come into the fight so quickly, and EXAM is preventing them from getting the reses as well, just doing his best here. And again, the enemy player trying to go for the res. EXAM jumps on top of him right away, hitting him with the bash, and he's taking a lot of pressure from these players here, just doing his best to keep his healing power up. And I love how he's just continuing to try to remain offensive throughout this as well. But I think EXAM has reached the point where he's finding himself feeling a little bit overwhelmed from this group, and he decides to kite back behind the rocks here. Wow, what a job holding his ground there. Now, this is actually not the end of the fight here. This fight goes on for quite some time. If you guys want to see the rest of it, EXAM's friend comes in, and they end up doing a lot of work on the rest of the reds there. So you guys can check that out on his YouTube channel, of course. And of course, for our bonus clip, we have got Xavier bringing us some fantastic action on his Magicka Warden. If you guys want to send in your own clips for the top 5, be sure to send them in to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Check out my Twitter if you guys want to keep up to date with my shenanigans. You can catch me live on Twitch if you want to watch some of my gameplay, or if you guys just want to come and hang out. Of course, check out my website, KristoferESO.com. It is a hub for all of my ESO content and has written guides to all my builds as well. We are sponsored by What the Fast, their VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, and they're free to try for the first month. Link down in the description below for you guys. And then last but certainly not least, a big shout out and a big thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this job, so thank you so much everybody for supporting. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and as always, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Have a great night, and I will see you next time.